Okay. We talk about some stuff going on in the world, current events, biblical stuff. Alright, so, there was the Peace and Security Council and all that jazz, right? Over there in the Middle East. Man, I knew that was not going to last because those people they're driven by the devil, I'm going to say some things in this video that are going to upset some people. And I don't want to hear no crying. You should probably sit down and listen to it anyway. Because it's good for you to hear. And I'm going to tell you a story about Muslims. They don't want to convert. They don't want to hear your story about Jesus. They have their own crazy beliefs that are false. I'm going to tell you that, right? Muslims are false. All their teachings are false. All of them. Now, their book, the Quran, is a piecemeal work, basically stolen from the Torah and all that. All right. They even admit that quote, the Jews had the book first. Okay, they even say that. All right, because Islam did not exist in the time of Jesus. Okay, it did not. Islam is only about 12 or 1400 years old, something like that. Now, what is my purpose of this? Telling you this stuff, trashing Islam, which doesn't bother me in a bit because they're driven by evil. So, I'm not a Jew. I'm a Christian. Now, see, the thing is that Islam is all made up. All made up. Completely made up. Stuff stolen from other people's beliefs and they twist it up and make it into their own. I mean, they got stuff in their book, Oh, if your wife disagrees with you, beat her and set her bed aside from you until she come around to your way of thinking. I mean, does that sound like a religion of peace? No. The thing is that Trump and all them, they said, okay, we're going to sign this thing. We're going to have peace forever in the Middle East, blah, blah, blah. All right. That didn't happen. Didn't happen. But the thing is, we're still watching 9:27. That's Daniel 9:27, where the Antichrist confirms a covenant with many. Right? Okay. Well, they had this covenant with many for peace. Right? We saw Trump and all the other people there. But who confirms it? I think what's probably going to happen is that there's going to be somebody steps in, okay, who does this confirmation. But the rapture will happen before the confirmation, because the Bible says that we do not know who the Antichrist is. The Holy Spirit-filled Christians do not know who the Antichrist will be, because the restrainer is removed, and then that wicked one shall appear. That's 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 6, 7, and 8. It says that we will be removed because we are Holy Spirit-filled Christians. We will be removed. And then that wicked one shall appear, who, Daniel 9:27, confirms the covenant with many. So what I'm thinking, what I am being led to, is that there is this strife, and we will be removed. The rapture will happen. And then the Antichrist will come in onto the scene, and he will confirm the covenant with many, and he will say, look, stop all this. That's the end of it. It's, he's putting his strong arm on that covenant with many, because nobody wanted to listen to their little group, Trump and the rest of them. Nobody wanted to listen to them on the Hamas side. Okay, nobody. So there go the rockets again. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I am feeling is happening. Okay. Now, the thing about Islam is that you cannot treat them piecemeal in war. You either have to wipe them all out, or you have to convert them all to Christianity and be done with it. There is nothing in between. You gotta wipe them out. Okay, now somebody's gonna start crying out there, I know. Oh, Jesus would not have said that, blah blah blah. Let me tell you, Joshua, the book Joshua in the Old Testament, chapter 6, God told them, walk around Jericho seven times, blowing the horns, blah blah blah. And on the seventh time, shout a mighty shout, and then the walls of Jericho will fall. And when they fall, what happened? They went in and they took everybody out. Man, woman, child, all of them. All. They took them all out. Except for Rahab, I think her name was, and her, whoever was helping with, I guess they'd sent a couple of people in. I can't remember, it's too long ago. But anyway, they took her out of there, and in Jericho, everybody was destroyed, man, woman, and child, all of them. See, this is the thing, and I tried to explain this to a young guy many years ago. I tried to explain it to him that in war, you can leave nobody standing. This is the problem that we have with wars in the modern era. You can leave nobody standing. Because if you leave anyone alive, they will go tell others what happened, and they will amass another army to come against you again and again and again and again and again. It's like a record that never stops. It's scratched and it keeps repeating the same. Do you even know what a record is? You know those discs that look like big vinyl plates? Yeah. So it's a broken record. It's a record that's in a loop. Because you will never stop them from coming against you until you annihilate every last one of them. So you either kill them all, or you convert them all. And converting them is very, very difficult. Most of the time it takes an act of God to convert them. It's happened. I mean, it's not impossible. But when you're at war with them, you can leave none standing. They all have to be taken out. There is, and this young fellow, I told him this, and he says, you mean the kids too? And the women? And I said, yes, everyone. Everyone has to go. Because if you don't, as soon as those kids are old enough to carry an AK-47, they're going to be going to war against you. They're going to be doing it again and again and again. They're going to strap bombs on themselves, and they're going to go and they're going to blow themselves up, martyr themselves for their uh, their crazy ideas. And the women too. You know, you get women that come to the United States that are still walking around with ski masks on because they, even when they get the chance to get away from it, they're still doing it. Doesn't make any sense. I don't want those people in this country. I want them out. I want them out of here. Either get out of that barbaric system of belief and come to a realization that Christ is the way. He's the only way, because he's God. Islam says that Christ is a prophet. Well, let me tell you something. Islam says that Christ is a prophet, and Islam says that a prophet cannot lie. Well, for anybody out there listening, Jesus said that he was God. That's why the Jews went to stone him. He said, before Abraham was, I am. Jesus is the I am. Before Abraham, I am. That's what Jesus said. And there are many, many other places in the Bible where Jesus said that he is the first and the last, the Alpha and the Omega. And I've talked about it on here before. Isaiah 44:6, Revelation 1. Okay? Go read it. Anyway, the thing about Islam is that it is a brainwashing system that takes people, and it's nothing but hate. It turns, even people that they have quote-unquote converted from Western society, there's been places where they beheaded them too. They cut their heads off. And other stuff. You ain't safe. It's not a religion of peace. It's a cult of death. That's right. Islam is a cult of death. Don't talk to me about Aloha snack bar, okay? You hear them riled up, and that's all they're saying. Aloha snack bar, aloha snack bar. No. Of course, I'm being funny with that because I'm not going to repeat what they're saying. They're a bunch of evil-driven people who, every one of them is demonically possessed. Every one. An act of God. I'm telling you. Pretty much that's what it needs to convert them. Now, talking about getting back to Hamas and Gaza, okay, this comes back to what I was telling that young fellow years ago, a lot of years ago, more than 2 decades ago. You gotta wipe them all out. You gotta wipe them all out. If I were Netanyahu, and I had control of the Israel Defense Forces, I would tell anybody who was not Jewish, and I'm not Jewish, okay, but I'm saying, if I were in his position, I would be telling them, people in that Gaza Strip area, I'd say, anybody who isn't Jewish or Christian, you better evacuate. You better get out of this country. Go somewhere else. But see, the thing is no other Muslim country wants them. I have explained this before on this channel. There's a picture of the old Iranian Shah. That's a picture for the video. There's two-part video. And I explain these fake Palestinians that are in Israel. But if I were Benjamin Netanyahu, I would tell all the Christians, if there are any Christians in that Gaza area, I'd tell them, out. Get out of there. You know, they need to surround the area, take out the people that are not Muslim, and then the rest, they need to just destroy them all. Man, woman, child. They all need to be wiped out. That's just the way you got to do war. And then from then on, you forbid Muslims from entering Israel altogether. You got to take it back. 1967, they made the mistake of trying to work with Muslims piecemeal. Big mistake. Cannot work piecemeal with the murderous people like the Muslims. Anybody who's in any Western country that has converted to Islam, you're stupid. You're stupid. And it's going to bite you. It will bite you in the back. As they eat their own. Anybody who says that they're a moderate Muslim, that they don't condone acts of violence against people who are different than them, Christians, Jews, or whatever, doesn't matter. Anybody who is a quote-unquote moderate Muslim who doesn't stand up and say, hey, stop doing that crap. You know, they don't police their own because they believe in what the quote-unquote hardliners are doing. They believe in it. They want Muslim for the whole world. They want Islam for the whole world. It's not going to happen. Not. People need to, in different Western countries, need to rise up and take out the offending invaders. You need to rise up and take out the offending invaders. That's the only thing that you can do. Because if you don't get them out now, if you don't stop them now, then it's just going to become a bigger and bigger problem. And even in the United States, you know, they got places, they got Dearborn, Michigan, and in Minnesota, they got Little Mogadishu, they call it, or something like that. Man, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna say any more about that because it's getting me upset. But you cannot deal with those people piecemeal. You cannot be allowing them in your governments. They need to be taken out of there. Strip them of all rights and deport them back to their own countries. If you want to be quote-unquote gentle about it. But don't treat them like they have rights. Because they're part of a cult that wants to see everybody destroyed but themselves. Quiet Jihad. That's, you know, there's a book about that. You should look it up. Quiet Jihad. Where they quietly move into areas and they wait until they've got the numbers and then they start causing problems. Okay? I think Poland was probably on the right track. I hadn't watched anything lately, but you know, I think they maybe have been denying entry or deporting or something. You know, we had a bunch of Trump derangement syndrome idiots in my town a couple days ago, uh, lining one section of Main Street or something. You know, those people are retarded. You can't tell them anything. You can't tell them anything. Over there protesting no kings. You know, well, we don't have any kings here. We don't. The guy was duly elected. Popular vote and electoral vote. Both. He was duly elected. All these other clowns that still clinging to their socialist and communist crap. If you don't like it, GTFO. Right? Get out. Go find yourself a place where you can fit in, because you obviously do not fit in here in this country. Right? I try not to get too political on here anymore because it's hard, because I'm trying to look ahead to the kingdom of Jesus. Because Jesus is coming back very soon. If this timeline is right, the second coming is in 2032. That second coming should be 2031, 2032, if the timeline is correct. Now the rapture has to happen first. We're still waiting on that. There's a window here, a large window. You know, I don't go by feast dates and all that stuff. Forget that. You know, too much going on with calendars and stuff. Too much. Just relax. We're in the season. We got the prophetic timeline from the reestablishment of Israel in 1948. That's what we got to remember. So it could happen at any time, really. Appointed, getting down to, let's synchronize watches. Nah. We know it's going to happen at the quote-unquote appointed time, but see, the problem is nobody will be able to, in my opinion, I don't think anybody's going to be able to narrow it down to, a day or two. I don't think so. I mean, I'm still watching and waiting. But people get obsessed with narrowing things down to 1 or 2 days. And, the thing is we know if the timeline is right, the mathematics is right, 2031, 2032, if that is the second coming year, we know that halfway through the 7 years from 2031, 2032 is when the Antichrist shows up. And we know that according to 2 Thessalonians 2, that the rapture has to happen before the Antichrist shows up. So what are you worried about? Relax. Sit down and have a cup of coffee, right? Have a cup of coffee. All right. Out of time here. I'm going to come back in another one. We'll talk a little bit more about some other stuff. I'll see you there.